world's changing. And you are right in the center of it.
I don't know what's ahead, but all bets are off.
First things first, we start where the show starts, which is Derrick Lewis getting another win, tying the record for all time. I think it was KOs in the heavyweight division, getting his 15th win, something like that in the UFC. I mean, he was doing really good work, beating Aleksei Oleinik, causing a stoppage there, essentially, I think at the end of the second. He looked really good, BC. So let's start here. First things first, your biggest takeaway from Lewis's win over Olynyk on Saturday is...
Well, look, just a quick correction. He set a new mark for knockouts in the heavyweight division. And look, my biggest takeaway is this. I was really worried coming off of that Daniel Cormier loss. You know, he got rushed into there for a title shot. For really the first time, he went all in to find out how great he can be. And, you know, he wasn't great enough. I was worried the rest of his career if he would become more of a journeyman. And this was a correction in my eyes of the ship. I know he's already had a win streak coming into this fight. And look, Aleksei Oleinik, solid guy, loves snakes, may not be a world beater. But what I saw, Luke, was a professional mixed martial artist, not necessarily a Popeye-loving guy who has to take a dump, who just so happens to have power to knock fools out once in a while. I saw a guy who wants one more try at that championship belt, kept the win streak going, did it in the way which is his calling card, of course, with that absolutely explosive power. But what made me so, you know, respectful and proud of him was his ground game. I mean, you saw some good stuff here, Luke. He was in shape for the body he carries, pretty good shape. And I thought he went out there and showed a lot of different skills, didn't just go out there and throw a windmill like he did against Volkov and save himself.
Yeah, I mean, here's the key to understanding it. First of all, walking out to Fat Pat and Top's drop is just, I mean, chef's kiss. But I actually interviewed him last week, and we talked about, I asked him how his back was, and he apparently found out something. He got knee surgery, I don't know, I want to say sometime earlier this year, or maybe at the end of last year. Not a super invasive one, sort of a more of a repaired one for a, you know, sort of wear and tear, not some kind of dramatic invasive surgery like Kevin Lee got. But what he found out was they said it was his lingering knee issues that was causing him to have his back issues. One was causing the other. So they cleaned up his knee, and he says his back is not like 100%, but it's better than it's been in as long as he can remember. And so when you feel better, you not only fight better. To me, what you saw there on the ground was it just opens up his game a little bit more. He can take a few more risks, some of them a little bit ill-advised, but he can take more risks. He can find more ways to throw ground and pound. He has more options. You know, the thing about him before was he sort of fights in spurts, in pockets, in moments, and then he takes big portions of a round off. And he still is not pedal to the metal, but what you saw from this one was he had more offense more of the time in more positions in ways that he just hadn't in a long time. So power's the last thing to go, and if you're healthier in a way that you haven't been in years and you can just do more things, it just creates a lot of opportunity for you in the way that we saw. And so did he look like Demian Maia on the ground? No, but he's not trying to. He's trying to leverage his big power and positional top control.
And it was a big departure, his last fight against Ilir Latifi. I know Latifi's a strong wrestler, but, you know, he looked lazy and remedial at times on the ground. So to see him turn that stance around, and I know, look, Oleinik is a different type of ground fighter than Latifi, but I'm just saying I saw a professional in there who had the right focus and vision. And maybe, you know, doctor said you don't need a backiotomy anymore. That's a good sign. But I see a guy, like I mentioned, who's trying one more time. And it's great, Luke, because he's one of the guys you inevitably cheer for. He's one of the best characters we have in this game. We got to really see his interesting backstory when he did have that title close up in New York against Cormier. You know, former felon, convict, come clean and turned his life around. And I also like to see him kind of turn his career around when it looked for a few fights, probably injury induced, that he just wasn't that guy anymore, but still freaking explosive. I mean, he showed you some Brock Lesnar on Frank Mir in the rematch type, you know, ground and pound there that was really good to see for him.
Yeah, if his back is healthy and he can leverage his existing strengths in more applicable ways in different positions, it's really going to create a lot of opportunities for him, as we saw, and a lot of moments for him in the way that we did, which was that vicious ground and pound in round one, and certainly the end of the fight there, just absolutely unloading on Olynyk, and never seemed to be too worried, never seemed to be too gassed, never seemed to be too reserved, never seemed to be too pained to try new things. So great to see that. Now it leads to an interesting question, which is, what would be next? We saw at the top of this division, or we're going to see, I should say, on Saturday, the DC Stipe third fight. You got Francis kind of waiting in the wings. Curtis Blades, who Dana White encouraged to stay active against, just had the win against Volkov. JDS is not too far behind. He's got the fight against Rosenstruck coming up, I think, on this Saturday. So that creates an interesting possibility. Let me ask you this, BC. What's the better way to go? Curtis Blades versus Derrick Lewis, or Derrick Lewis versus the winner of JDS and Rosenstruck, especially if it's JDS and he gets that win?
You know, it's probably better, I think, for Derrick Lewis if he got the latter. But I don't think Dana White loves Curtis Blades right now. I think you might want to, give him a chance to face somebody dangerous. And I know you could look at a Blades-Derrick Lewis matchup and rightfully go, oh, God, you're just feeding him to Blades. Blades is a, aggressive, in-shape wrestler who can just hold him down the whole fight. But Derrick Lewis can also win the fight at any point. He's one of those fighters, it doesn't matter how good you are, he can land that bomb. So I'd much rather see, him get a big fight. I did want to jump in and basically give you a, hey, wait, I got a new complaint. I'm glad you got off that soapbox thinking he should get Ngannou next, but still, he's in the right direction, Luke. If he got either of those two fights non-Ngannou, he'd be probably 1 to 2 wins away from a title shot, and that's where he needs to be right now.
Well, I still think the Francis fight's the best option, but people hate it, so what am I going to do? I'm going to sit here and
because it doesn't make
harp on
sense,
that?
Luke, okay? Okay, friend? Okay?
Well, here's what you're going to get if you get the Curtis Blades fight. You are probably going to get Lewis, despite the fact that he has vastly improved ground game now by virtue of just no physical limits that he had before, which is great. Certainly makes the fight more competitive than it already was. But my hunch is that Blades is going to take him down at will and probably wear him out and pound him out, similar to a way that Daniel Cormier did. And that's even with acknowledging, again, his sort of renewed vigor by virtue of not being kind of physically hampered the whole time. If that's what you want, if you think that's a better thing than to sort of fix what was wrong before with a striking match, okay. If you want to say JDS would be a better fight, I wouldn't fight too much on that one, especially if he gets a nice win over Rosenstruck. I just don't think people have such a bad taste in their mouth from Francis that they can't even fathom it. I think the strongest argument against it is, one, JDS provides some options. I can agree with that. And then two, Francis doesn't need to take it. I can acknowledge it. But do I think that the second fight, it's hard not to be better than the first one. But what I'm saying is, do I think the second fight would be legitimately great? I actually do. I think it would be way, way different. But that's not a hill I'm prepared to die on today.
I mean, look, you can only, crap in a can once, Luke, okay? You're not going to do it a second time, all right? We're not going to get that right there. But look, before you go on to more pressing things, I saw you and your buddy had another episode of Java Jerks last week. I was a little late to the party, but Abuela trying to burn your house down. What's the postscript on that? She put you in the rear naked? What happened there?
No, it's fine. They were cooking, what were they making? They were using oil to fry something. Now I forget. I don't remember.
Plantains?
I think it was plantains, actually, yes. And they didn't open the window or turn the fan on. Yeah. Well, dude, plantains are delicious. I mean, what do you want me to say? That's what they eat a lot in Colombia. Anyway, I think they were making them, and then they didn't turn the fan on above the stove, and, I'm in the middle of working there, and all of a sudden things go wrong. So it's fine, though. The house.
And I did speaking of abuelas, I did want to apologize for have you seen this shit last week. A lot of people jumping down my throat saying, hey, BC, Abuela doesn't have good jiu-jitsu. She just choked and stabbed that chick. You showed a murder on TV, and I'm like, look, if I did, I apologize. In the past, I've tried to, and the producers of Morning Kombat have slapped my wrist, so that was not intentional.
Yeah, we did a nice long interview with someone, and we can't even publish it because you asked such ridiculous questions that now legal has gotten involved.
You can't bring that backroom drama to the forefront here. Come on.
Good job, BC. Hey, let's do more work that we can't release to the public.
Are you in?
This is our time. The world's changed, and you are right in the center of it.
I don't know what's ahead, but all bets are off.